Welcome everyone to episode 129 of EDH Commander Challenge. I'm your host, BT. We are just days away from our 3-year anniversary of the channel, and yes, that episode will be a 4-player match. So super excited for next week's episode as well. And we also got a new patron pledge hammer we'll be announcing next week. But for now, let's get to those opening hands. First, in this corner, with an opening hand of 2 forests, Ancient Tomb, Lightning Greaves, Lotus Cobra, Avacyn's Pilgrim, Leafkin Druid, and his Bant-style general, Chulane, Teller of Tales. He is the #1 fan of infinite combos. This is Mark. Next, in this corner, making his debut on the channel, with an opening hand of 2 mountains, High Market, Wheel of Fortune, Shreds of Sanity, Thrill of Possibility, Underworld Breach, and his mono-red general Squee, Goblin Nabob. He is the newest member of the EDHCC family. Meet Alexi. Mark on the dice roll to start us off, so let's begin this card fight. For their first turns, Mark plays a forest and casts Avacyn's Pilgrim, while Alexi plays a mountain. Mark casts Lotus Cobra. Then he plays a basic, getting a free mana from his Cobra, and casts Leafkin Druid before passing. Alexi plays a basic and passes. For Mark's turn, he plays Ancient Tomb, getting a free blue mana from his Cobra. Then he casts his general, Chulane. He does take 2 damage from using his tomb, however. Next he casts Lightning Greaves, which he equips to Chulane, giving it haste and shroud. Then he moves into combat and attacks Alexi with his Chulane and Cobra. This deals 4 damage total before passing. During the end step, Alexi casts Thrill of Possibility and discards a card to draw 2 cards. Alexi plays a basic and casts Wild Guess, discarding a Commander Sphere to draw 2 cards. Then he casts Vandal Blast to destroy the Lightning Greaves before passing. Mark plays a forest, gaining a mana, and casts Fauna Shaman. Then we take a quick commercial break to move the decks over to give you guys a better look at the field. We'll be right back.
5 hours later.
Welcome back, and now we resolve the Chulane trigger. Mark draws a card, but has no lands to play, and simply passes. Alexi plays a High Market and casts Shreds of Sanity, returning both Wild Guess and Thrill of Possibility to his hand from his graveyard. Then he discards Reforge the Soul and passes. During the end step, Mark uses Chulane to bounce his Pilgrim back to his hand. For Mark's turn, he taps his Shaman, and with its effect, he discards the Pilgrim he bounced back to his hand to add Dryad of the Ilsean Grove from his deck to his hand. Then he casts it. With Chulane's trigger, he gets a free draw, but once again has no lands to play. He then moves into combat and attacks with Chulane for 2 damage. In his second main phase, he casts Soul Ring by tapping his tomb for a green, and thus takes no damage for it, and passes. Alexi starts his turn by recasting Wild Guess, and discards a card to draw 2 cards. Then he plays a basic, and passes. Mark uses his Shaman's effect again, discarding his Selfless Spirit to add Spell Seeker from his deck to his hand. Then he casts it, getting a free draw from his Chulane trigger. Then, with Spell Seeker, adds Enlightened Tutor from his deck to his hand. Then he moves into combat and attacks Alexi with Chulane again for 2 more damage, and passes. During the end step, Alexi casts Thrill of Possibility again, discarding a Wheel of Fate to draw 2 cards. Desperate to either find an answer for Mark or flat out win the game with an interesting combo he has planned, Alexi casts Tormenting Voice and discards a card to draw 2 cards. Then he plays a basic and casts Inner Fire, which, due to having 5 cards in hand, gives him 5 red mana. He also starts talking about his storm count, which makes Mark nervous. Then he uses 2 mana to cast Underworld Breach, giving all his cards in his grave Escape, which makes his plan pretty apparent, looking to reuse his graveyard to make a high storm count for something like, say, a Grape Shot, I presume. But reveals that he miscounted his mana and would need 1 additional mana to what he currently has to go off with whatever combo he has. So instead, he casts Wheel of Fortune. However, in response, Mark casts Benefactor's Drought, drawing a card and untapping his creatures. He also then casts Enlightened Tutor. This allows him to place Heliod's Sun Crown on top of his deck. And finally, he casts Heroic Intervention, just because, to give his permanents Indestructible and Hexproof. Then the wheel resolves, and both players discard their hands and draw a fresh new 7 cards. Then Alexi passes and sadly sacks his Breach. During the end step, Mark uses his Shaman's effect, discards his Boreal Druid to add Walking Ballista to his hand, which, combined with Heliod, well, I think you know where he's going with this. For Mark's turn, he plays a land, gaining a free mana, and implements his reputation for his love of infinite combos. He then casts his Heliod and his Ballista, which is coming with 2 counters. He uses Heliod's effect to give his Ballista lifelink, and by removing a counter from it, he shoots Alexi for 1 damage. This triggers the Heliod to place a counter back on the Ballista, causing an infinite loop of damage to Alexi as Mark takes the win. We've all been there. That 1 miscount of mana that totally changes what we're going to do for the turn. This unfortunately happened to Alexi this game. If he just had 1 more red mana with, say, a Lotus Petal or a Simian Spirit Guide, the Underworld Breach would have likely led him to victory. I surely want to see this deck in action again sometime soon. Fauna Shaman may be slower than Survival of the Fittest, but if you dare to ignore her, you'll live to regret it, as you saw here. In a creature-heavy combo deck that has green, there's just no reason not to play her, in my opinion. Agree with our picks? Let us know in the comments down below. And if you enjoy our content, consider becoming a patron. We'll give you access to some sweet bonuses while helping out the channel at the same time. We're halfway to our goal of 2,000 family members and subscribers, and it's all thanks to your support, everyone. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If you're a fan of EDH gameplay and you like whether it be 1v1 or multiplayer and you want to be part of the ever-growing Commander Challenge family, just make sure you smash the subscribe button and notification bell down below. We do weekly videos. Don't forget as well to like, comment, share our videos, but most importantly, enjoy them. On behalf of all of our members here, I'm your host, BT. Feel free to check out all of the videos in the channel, join our game, it's now your turn. Cheers!